Hi there.
Hi there.
How's it going?
New recording space. Who's this?
Yeah. I see some questionable art behind you.
We don't question the Soviet propaganda art. I'm Stephanie.
Sort of. I'm Elena.
And this is Bet You Wish This Was an Art podcast.
Welcome.
Welcome. I'm always excited, but today specifically, this topic, this theme is bizarre.
That's true.
A little spooky, a little sexy.
Mm-hmm.
There's our favorite topics: oil painting, art theft,
yes,
defeating the Nazis,
love it,
questionable livestock,
yes,
and Christian art. I really wish we had seen this one together. We'll have to.
It's amazing that we lived here for like a year and didn't go see it. But to be fair, it wasn't on display.
I was gonna say we have we have a pass. If it had been, I think we would have done that before we went to Prague. Probably.
But what are we talking about today?
Again, as it slowly approaches you, the face. The lamb. Today we're talking about the Ghent altarpiece.
Yay.
Yay! Or as it is also known, the adoration of the mystic lamb. It's, I love triptychs, right? Like, I already love something that has a lot of drama, that has a lot of moving parts to it, something that puts on a show all within itself. And a triptych is fantastic. Because of the fact that there's a private and a public, like there's public viewing and then there's private viewing, and the fact that gets to be turned on whenever it wants to be, fantastic.
Yeah. Look, I think this is the closest we will ever get to medieval art. It is not my topic, I'm sorry.
Medievalism aside, us who are very clearly not medievalists with our favoritism of Baroque art, this is finally Dutch art.
True.
It's not Dutch Baroque,
but close. Couple centuries off.
There's it sets the foundation for it. How about that? It brings That's oil painting. You know, it opens up the whole foundation. And what's nice about the Ghent altarpiece is that it is one of the most famous pieces of, like, it is probably one of the most famous pieces of European masterworks that has continuously captured the attention and inspiration, and it really does have some tremendous stories behind it. And because of that, we find that there's always something to keep coming back to. And that's on top of the fact that the piece itself is massive.
It's huge.
It's huge. And there are so many panels.
There's 12. And there's 26 paintings.
Oh my God. And this is the largest. I mean, like, I was watching something that's just kind of talking about the art theft of it. And of course, if you're going to talk about art theft at some point, you have to circle back to like what the piece is. And the fact that, yes, oil painting had existed in Europe. This isn't something new. Van Eyck did not invent oil painting. But the fact that you went from the European favorite of tempera paint, something that, you know, you see all over Southern Europe, especially Italy and their frescoes, something that where you're mixing your egg into your pigment and you're creating this really opaque piece. Now you have an art material that allows for layers, and you can control the opacity and how thick and deep your lines are, and you have all this power and finesse and control because it takes forever to dry. The things that you can get out of oil painting, I think, are remarkable in any century. But to be a viewer of the initial altar was probably like life-changing.
Mind-boggling.
Truly just, how do they do it? What witchcraft?
Yeah. Yeah. But it was only on special occasions that it was fully open. It was always mostly closed. Yes.
Public viewing is behind the wall.
But to jump into the history of it.
Yes.
So it was painted by Hubert and Jan van Eyck. It is thought that Hubert started it and then Jan van Eyck continued it when Hubert passed away. It is kept in the Cathedral of St. Bavo in Ghent, Belgium. Where
is it gonna be Ghent or is it gonna be Ghent?
It's depends on who you ask. It's Ghent for...
This is why we haven't been doing the Dutch, okay?
Look, I speak the language now, okay?
I know. You're right. No, you're right.
Yes. But it was made in the 15th century, so beginning 1420s, ending 1430s. And basically it was commissioned. But the thing is, Jan van Eyck, at least, Hubert was a good painter as well. He was the person who kind of planned out the thing, which is also a different skill. And Jan was the one who kind of became known, much more known maybe than his brother. Yeah, we don't know much about his early life, and we don't know how he ended up to become the court painter, but he did. And he worked first for Philip the Good. He worked first for John III the Pitiless, and then for Philip the Good, Duke of Burgundy.
You know, sometimes you have to work for a shitty employer, a pitiless employer, before you move to a good one, you know?
Yes. And he became not only a painter, like the court painter, the main painter, but he was also a diplomat and would travel around. And this is where he learned a lot from the places that he was traveling to. And then he was also allowed to do like portraiture, which is strange because usually if you're employed by the king, then you mostly work for the king. But he was the king was very lenient when it came to Jan.
Well, you know, he comes from, what we kind of know about the Van Eycks is that they were wealthy painters. Like there was an established tradition of them being painters. And so presumably between like Jan's connections, his wealth, and presumably his talent, right? Because he does show a very impressive mastery of art skill, even in like the early examples that we have, but presumably working with his brother, and just it was something that he was able to negotiate because it is bizarre that he was able to have kind of like all of his talents going at one time.
Indeed, yeah. And we have like 20 something of his works remaining to us. But in that, the Ghent altarpiece is considered as one. But like I said, again, it's 26 paintings in that one piece. So, and it was commissioned by a mayor / merchant / businessman, Jos Weet. And he commissioned it from Hubert, and he and his wife are pictured on the outside of the altarpiece. Should we jump into what it looks like?
Yes, I think we'll start with the closed version. You know, what people would normally see, for the most part, as it would be in their private chapel, right? Like, private chapels, especially in cathedrals, are kind of like timeshares, right? Like there's this massive project of a downtown, very important cathedral that needs to be built, and the church requires funds in order for that to happen. What they typically do, and what you can see all over Europe, and in fact, it's kind of interesting to go to different cathedrals and see it, is that these private chapels will be lotted out to different families, and these families then use these rooms as places that they can go and have service done for them, or go and pray, and also as like that power status symbol of, oh, this, anything for my church. And you know, it makes perfect sense that a former mayor and someone who is very wealthy would want to have such a grand display within like his own demure chapel. This is for God, after all.
Yeah. And it was also, I mean, it is kind of a way to get you into heaven also, putting so much money into the church.
Remember the indulgences? This is the predecessor.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, and I mean, if you're an artist and you get a job like this, I mean, it pays a lot.
You know,
do it.
Do it. What are you gonna say? No.
Yeah.
But what it looks like.
Yes, what it looks like. Like I said, it's 12 panels. And it's on the outside, you have, well, if it's closed, if we're looking at it closed, there's 12 paintings. At the bottom is the two patrons on the sides. So the two people who commissioned the painting. And then in between them is basically like a sculpture version of John the Baptist and John the Evangelist. And it's amazing because it literally looks like a sculpture. It's white and like marbly, so it's great. And then above that is the scene of Annunciation of Mary, where Archangel Gabriel, he comes to Virgin Mary and tells her that she's going to bear and give birth to the Son of God, basically.
You've got the little angel delivery to symbolize the Holy Spirit. Curious about this real fast is that Mary is not wearing her distinctive blue in the closed version. She is in all virginal white, mimicking the angel. Yes,
she is. This is indeed before she has before she becomes the Mary. And above,
no, she's just Mary from the block, you know?
Yeah, basically. And above them are figures of prophets who have prophesied the birth of Jesus. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of what is really cool about the Ghent altarpiece is that there's a lot of writings everywhere.
Yeah.
Sometimes to kind of point out who is in the picture, or to say something that one of the characters in the painting are saying. For example, in this case, Archangel is saying something to Virgin Mary, and then Virgin Mary is answering, and her answer is written upside down and inside out. So as if whoever is meant to read it is reading it from above. So kind of like a symbolic way to say that she's accepting Jesus and saying that to God, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is remarkable. And I think what's also really cool about this scene is that it's also in what at the time would be a very contemporary interior. Mm-hmm. Right? This is a reading room, a private chapel, a study, but it doesn't feel like you're in, it doesn't feel like you're in some backwoods, small town, Middle Eastern village. This is easily a Netherlandish expensive interior space.
Yes, exactly.
And it's, I think this interior is pretend, but I think somewhere in like the initial commission, they had requested it to look similar to their interior. It was something to like, to harken back to the patrons of this piece wanted their interior space represented alongside them. Kind of that like extension of this is us, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's insane how detailed it is. If you look at like a really high resolution picture of the Ghent altarpiece, you can zoom in and see. So like, it's a huge panel, right? In real life, it's quite big. If you zoom in, you can see like the scene is through the window into the town, into the walking people in the town, and then the birds flying overhead. It's insane how much detail there is in this piece. But yeah, this is only half of it. And this is only the beginning.
Yeah.
And
this isn't
the
even
outside. Exactly. And the outside is quite muted. So it's like mostly whites and the patrons are in red. But the colors are very dull. And that is a big change once it gets opened.
Yeah.
Because you're like hit with all of the vibrant colors that the inside is full of.
Because on holy days or when the family wants it, you know, to demonstrate. And what was it like? It was something crazy. I went and we did a little tour at San Pablo. You can do an AR virtual tour of it, which is as disorienting as it sounds. But they were saying in the guided tour between bell tolls that, what was it? It had only been shown on display maybe 6 times in its entire like history before, you know. Yeah. Before.
We'll get to
it. But how like it was such a rare thing and it was such a private experience that it was astounding.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, like you said, while the front is very muted, it is still quite beautiful and profound, and the detail is insane.
Yeah.
But wait, there's more.
There's so much more. Yeah. And when you open it, this time there's like 2 rows that you follow. And the row above shows God or Jesus. It's debatable.
The Almighty.
The Almighty. And Mary.
Yes.
It's
Mary on the right hand, John on the left.
Yes. And then they are all in like the full regalia, like all the diamonds, crowns and like bejeweled crowns and the
lush, rich, expensive
blue
fabrics
and red and very.
There's something Byzantine about how like dressed up they are.
Indeed, because it's said that he was probably taking inspiration from the Byzantine medieval art of the time, or like a little bit earlier. But yeah, we see indeed Mary, God, Mary, John. Next to them are choirs of angels.
Mm-hmm.
On one side they're singing, and on the other side they're playing music.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because like there's proof that you can see which, from the expressions of the angels' faces, which note they are singing.
It's this detail.
So detailed.
It's so insane.
Yeah.
You know, it's so crazy.
It is crazy. And then you have next to them, you have Adam and Eve. on each side. They're made to look very human.
Yes.
Not idealized at all. Same with like the outside figures, like the patrons. They're displayed literally warts and all.
Yeah.
All of the wrinkles and everything. And we have Adam and Eve, and above them on one side is Cain and Abel sacrificing their crops and a lamb to God, and on the other side, Cain killing Abel. Yeah.
And Mary holding the apple. I'm sorry.
Eve.
Eve. Yeah. Eve holding like the fruit, right? It's not an apple, which is always curious, but it's like a citrus fruit. It's supposed to be something exotic, something temptation.
Yeah, indeed.
And what's also really cool about Adam and Eve in this painting is that they seem to be walking off of their, like out of their frame. It's something you see a lot of in this, but like Adam's foot specifically is out of frame. Like he is walking into our space, and both of them have their eyes down. Like the insane amount of detail in this, of course, but it really humanizes these mythic figures and puts them in a space that we could understand what it would feel like to be surrounded by this much glory and still feel like insane amounts of shame.
Yeah, and God in this case is shown as the forgiving God.
Yes.
So even
this
the
is
fact
not a Bosque painting.
No. And even the fact that that Adam and Eve appear in this heavenly painting scene is showing that they're kind of been forgiven for their sins. And then we get to the lower part of the polyptych. Here you have basically one scene all throughout.
Yeah.
And
it's
a party. There's a bunch of people present. And these people are all from the Old Testament, from the New One, a bunch of saints and virgins and confessors and all of the martyrs. And they're standing in groups. Well, from the sides, the processions are leading in to the middle. And then in the middle, we have 4 groups of people. And then in the middle, you have the Lamb.
Oh, Lamb of God! Okay, the Lamb. I truly want you to envision it just approaching you, assaulting you, even as it tells you about the story of why Jesus Christ Superstar is so important. And you're just like, I get it. Okay, I'm sorry. Put that face away. Yeah. It's a lot. And what's also cool is, like, speaking of the writing, is all of these groups are still, like, labeled as these. It's part of the reason why we know who they are, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you've got the knights, you've got your women, you've got music and performers and all of that is kind of labeled for the viewer's experience to understand, like, oh yes, of course. They're all coming in. And
not only in labeled in Dutch, which is the language expected, but also in Greek and Latin.
Crazy.
Just to be sure that you understand.
Speaking to God in all of his languages.
Yeah. All 3 of them.
Don't you forget it. It's so remarkable how much detail. We get to appreciate it now because of the amount of restoration and conservatorship that has gone into this process. And we know that BYWAP is huge conservation art conservation stands. So the fact that the whole process, in fact, one day when we actually go to the Ghent altarpiece and we do it live, the entire process of the restoration was documented, and it'll probably be one of the links that we put on the website, but it's crazy how much detail and the fact that, so when they started in 2012 with like the actual restoration process, the fact that 70% of it, especially on the front panels, like the closed panels, had been overpainted is bonkers. like the amount of work. So what we get to appreciate now is what is closer to what would have been seen in the first days of the altarpiece, which is remarkable and such a gift. But going back to the colors are insane. The depth of detail, the attention to realism, ding ding ding, the attention to realism in this transforms it from something that is enjoyable to look at to almost a codex, a learned experience of what is happening in the world. The fact that there are botanists that can identify, correctly ID plants in the middle to far distance simply because of how perfectly rendered they were is crazy.
He went all out. And
to be fair, he had his studio of helpers, and this was a tradition that was passed down in the family. And even when Van Eyck eventually, when Jan dies and his little brother takes over, it's very similar. But the fact that they are studying and the fact that attention to detail is given, it makes it the ultimate Where's Waldo. It's such a fun search for detail. If you want to find something and you're trying to tell a story, this altarpiece has it.
It does.
That's so cool. If everything in this painting is so beautiful, if every panel is so magically rendered, why the fuck does the lamb look like that?
Because he was meant to. So, yeah, the face of the lamb was the most recent discovery, right?
Lamb of God.
It was 2020, I think, when it was uncovered.
Yeah. When the tweets started coming.
Yep. And before that, the lamb looked very normal. And now it's very obvious that it's a very human face that's looking at you. With eyes not where a lamb's is, but where a human's is.
Yeah.
It can haunt. It can haunt.
The Shrek ears really do it for me.
Yeah.
Well, because, it was like, here's this really naturalistic lamb that we've been staring at for years. Why does it have 4 ears? That's weird. Why this? And only to discover under all of that overpaint, over all of that normal lamb face looking overpaint, you just have a haunting vision. You have a lamb moment, as we call it.
You have the Son of God.
Just bleeding. I think that's another aspect of it. It's a haunted lamb face, which is just like upsetting. And then it's like this little water fountain, this little spigot of just like splish.
And that delicious wine.
Just tasty transconfiguration. It's just it haunts me. I laugh so that I don't cry.
Yeah.
At the Lamb of God.
But that's not... Well, we described the painting.
Yeah. It is magical. It
is magical.
You show up. You pay a little money to go see it.
A little bit.
You walk in.
It's huge.
I was just there. And what they had done is they had created this like locker room space and check-in zone. And then you could go into the basement to actually see like the old foundation, and then you went up to the viewing of the Lamb of God. Then that aspect was that there when you went?
Nope, I just walked in right like into the church and to the
Right.
left, and that's
To
where it
the
is.
And then you go up, and then you go up some more, and then there it is.
No, it was on the first floor or on the ground floor when I saw it, but that was a couple of years ago.
Fascinating.
It was, you enter and you go to the left,
Yeah.
and there's a door,
And then you
and
go.
you just enter into the room, and that's where
and
it
you
is.
pay. Oh, interesting. We have to go again.
Yes. to contrast these two types of experience.
Yes, actually. I mean,
that is the beginning of the story of the Ghent altarpiece
How
when
crazy
it
is
comes
that?
to its history, which is wild.
I heard somebody describe it as like, if you thought the painting was complicated, wait till you hear the history.
Oh yeah. It has been a victim of 13 crimes and 7 thefts.
Making it the most famous
Ish.
somewhat stolen, or what was it? It's the most.
Desired pieces of art.
It has been in more art crime related conversations than I think any other piece in history.
Yeah.
Way to go, Van Eyck. Way to go.
He outdid himself with this one.
It's just so good. Yeah. The 13 crimes, which, 13, spicy number. We love to see it.
7 is also a heavenly number.
This is true. 3 as well.
7 thefts. 3 as well. And, do you want to talk about generally how it went?
Elene, I would love to. 1, the Counter-Reformation.
We know what that is now.
We love that. We hate that. We're suspect of it. During the Reformation, as all of Holland and the Netherlands, as we know them, including like all of the lowland countries, are at war with each other because there's this hot new religion on the block. And Protestantism is really anti-idols. And when you consider this decoration and this frivolity as an extension of like going against the 10 Commandments and worshiping idols, they're one of the first things to go. So what happens is you have a bunch of Protestants trying to burn down the St. Bavo Cathedral. And in the middle of the night, the diocese is able to reserve and like preserve these panels, escort them out of the cathedral, and they send them to France. Everything calms down. They get returned to the cathedral. Napoleon, a century or two afterwards, goes, no, they were in France. They belong to the French. Goes north, takes them back in a move that the British would love. Yeah. Just saying, you can't take care of this silly Belgians. Let the real French speakers do it, smiley face.
And they take it to Louvre.
They take it to the Louvre, where it stays until after the Battle of Waterloo. And then, as France is saying sorry for all of its war crimes, the altarpiece is returned, which is where it stays until about 1815, when one of the painting's wings are sold by the Diocese of Ghent to the King of Prussia for like €300. Yeah. But not €300 then. €300 now.
Yeah.
Which also reminds me of the British Museum scandal.
Yeah.
Where's the
and
eBay?
This is the church selling.
This is the church being like, we need money. We really need some money.
I just want to drink some beer, some wine. I need a couple coins.
I need a movie tickets, man.
Take it. So it winds up in Berlin.
Of course, as we all will one day.
Naturally.
Goes to Berlin until the Belgian government is able to talk it back. It is sent back, but however, during World War I, 100 some years later, the panels are taken again by the occupying German forces.
Mm-hmm.
They are taken, they are later returned, only to be taken again in 1942 by the Nazis, because Hitler says, I need an art museum full of all of the good stuff, and what's better than the Ghent altarpiece?
And he puts them in salt mines. You dumb.
It couldn't make it to Austria fast enough. It was either that or it falls
so
into
much
the hands.
damage.
It falls into the hands of the listen, at least the damage is not them blowing up the mines. I'm currently reading a fantastic work. I'm currently reading a book about the Monuments Men, where it is like it's a little romanticized, but it's this idea that like they find out about the salt mines on accident. It's like the guys who the Monuments Men, and I can't remember their names right now, but the guys who specifically were like stationed in that area or within like 100 kilometers of the salt mine, one of them had a toothache, and so they went to a barber to have the tooth pulled. And as they were talking to the guy, he said, "You need to meet my nephew. He loves art." And it turns out that the nephew was actually the art dealer that had been like sourcing what pieces the Nazis should be taking. And so he knew more or less where they were being stored because he saw it. And because of this information, the Monuments Men were able to devise a plan with like the forces, the rebellion forces against the Nazis, to like keep the mine from being blown up long enough to rescue all of these masterpieces that were just chilling in a salt mine. But tell me you wouldn't love that, Elene, to walk into this like decrepit old mine and to just start pulling canvases left and right, and there they are, this magnificent work, these Vermeers that no one had ever seen, and the Ghent altarpiece and all of its panels, magnificent. Amazing. Magnificent. And up until this point, I want to be perfectly clear. Up until this point, all 26 panels, all of them, every single one of them, come back together. Time in and time out.
Except one. But it was a couple of years before that it got lost. So
1913, right?
Yeah, 1934. So it gets taken by the United in 42.
The first time. Yes. No, it gets taken by the Germans the first time.
The first time, very
returned.
Early. Returned. Yeah. Then it gets...
Then in the middle of the night,
stolen.
Somebody steals 2 panels.
Yes. And returns one.
Yeah. A front and back. Yeah.
Yeah. He takes...
someone.
Someone. He takes the two paintings and then returns one in good grace.
Yes, after sending like 16 different ransom notes demanding like 1,000 francs or 1,000,000 francs or something absurd, and was like, "Listen, I mean it. I've got it. Here, pay me."
Yeah.
But during this time, they instead hired not a forgery, like I can't remember what the formal term for someone who does copy, like a copyist of these panels, and is able to like piece together a convincing enough duplicate.
Yeah.
And fun drama. They thought that maybe this artist had actually been the one to have stolen it and just returned to the original when he realized that he wasn't going to get the money, and so he pawned off the original as a copy, only for that to be debunked when they were doing the restoration.
Yeah.
Who did they think originally? There's one ransom note that they found from somebody who I can't remember, but like on someone's deathbed, there's a deathbed confession, and a note gets revealed, and it's like nobody will know without the public getting to know. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's some drama.
There's some drama. But I mean, for all of these panels, except one, to keep making it back time in and time out is extremely it's extremely impressive.
And the last one only was lost before the last big thing that happened to the painting.
Before the Nazis.
Before the Nazis. But,
the before Nazi era and the after Nazi era.
Yeah. BN and
but yes, that modern copy replica is then replaced, and it's what currently sits on the altarpiece. A fraud. Scandal. I really truly can't believe they've never found it.
Yeah.
Do you know did you hear about like the initial report? Apparently the police are informed about this, and they begin their investigations and then are quickly derailed because a cheese shop had been robbed the same day. So they gave precedent to that, to the missing Gouda.
Okay. That sounds Dutch. Not Belgian.
Are you saying that Ghent is not basically an extension of their Dutch counterparts?
You will be fought over this.
I know. But it's it's so funny. They were like, that we're going to do all that we can. We will find this piece. You say there's cheese missing. We're on the case. We will not rest until your burglar is burgled.
What? Painting?
Paintings.
We'll do that later.
Well, you've got most of the pieces.
25 of them. You don't need all of them.
Oh, just some judges and John the Baptist. Oh. It's so funny. But yes, and then all of the iconoclasm and the fire damage and the war damage and the thieving and this poor thing has gone through much.
It's incredible that it's incredible. Still, we have it.
I keep thinking about the fact that the painting had gotten so dusty before they had done renovation or restoration on it that people could put their initials in the dust. Conservation is witchcraft.
Yeah.
If you want to see how those spells were done, there's a website that I think the Belgian government, or maybe it was the cathedral, created that specifically like documents the entire process, like what it looked like before, all the infrared scans, the XRFs, the grayscale covers of both the before, during, and after process in like insane pixel by pixel detail. Google Arts and Culture has nothing on this body of information, and is so cool.
That's very cool, yeah.
Unlike the Lamb of God's face. It was a great way to spend an hour.
Yeah,
I dragged my friends. See it. I did get to see it. I dragged 2 unsuspecting victims into this dramatic playground for me and my... I went with 2 non-practicing, outright anti-religious humans, and I was like, this is going to be a really good time. This is going to be a great time, atheists, I promise. This is for this is for the whole family.
Right.
We got pasta afterwards, so you know.
You got pasta, yeah.
Yeah.
It's good payment.
It's good payment. Who did you go with? Did you go with Fur?
Yes.
How did he take it?
He liked it.
Okay.
Wasn't too impressed. And then I slapped him across the face. How dare you!
How dare you! How dare you! I mean, honestly, understandable. Expected.
Yeah.
Final thoughts?
Oh, so many thoughts.
So many thoughts. So many thoughts.
It's a great work of art. A marvel. I'm glad we still have it and that we get to see it in its full-ish glory. And yeah, the history of it is wild.
It's wild.
Yeah.
I love stealable art.
Mm. Yeah.
And, you know, with the shinier, the better. And this painting, these magnificent little vignettes, each one of them certainly worth more than 300 euro a pop. I'll tell you that.
Yes. Probably.
Prop. Wink,
Prop.
wink, 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 wink.
Probably.
No, it's a remarkable thing to see. I'm so glad that they put the energy and effort into it. I'm so glad that we have it. And
Yes.
I can't wait to see it with you.
Yes. Soon.
BYWAP takes Europe.
And then we go to every single thing we've ever discussed.
We could, Elene. We absolutely could, and we should.
We should.
In fact, for our upcoming travel plans, art history, fun facts, the tally score on how many times the Ghent Altarpiece has been stolen, updates, newsletters, transcripts, blog posts, and more, head on over to our website at BYWArtPod.com.
You can also find us at BYWArtPod on Instagram and YouTube.
And of course, you can check us out on our Patreon. Patreon is the best way to support us if you like the work that we're doing here at BYWAP.
Come say hi.
Wash your hands.
Don't touch your face.
And remember,
When in doubt,
titty out.
yeah. Bye.
Titty out like Mary. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's do it. Let's go. Bye.
Bye.